Your favorite finance YouTuber went from $5,000 of debt to $20,000 of debt in just 1 month.
Yep, you heard that right.
And before you panic for me, don't, because I got a plan, okay? In this episode of Debt Me Out, episode 3, I should make a jingle. Yeah, we'll figure that out another day. I can't right now, it's too much pressure. But in today's episode, I'm gonna walk you guys through exactly what happened, how your girl went from having virtually no debt to $20,000 worth of debt in the span of summer. I'll tell you why I took on all this debt all at once, and how I'm using debt consolidation and a new strategy to pay it down with the least amount of interest as possible. I, of course, am using my Coplenty Budget Tracker that's got a debt tracker within it. Yearly Budget 2.0 is the tracker I use. You guys already know. It's linked in my Stanstore if you want to use it, and go through your numbers together because we getting out of debt. Okay, let's get into it. Today's episode of Debt Me Out is going to be a little bit spicy because it's got all the credit card splurges, a failed bank negotiation.
Total? Like with prime included?
Yeah. A sneaky, hidden pre-approved offer that I turned into a little win, okay? And a brand new debt payoff plan that's going to save me hundreds in interest. So first, let's do a quick update on the current balances and get all our numbers straight because it's a lot. Okay, so let's get into the numbers. The last time I had around $5,000 in debt, and this time, drum roll please, I've got $21,182.04 in debt. Great, love it, yeah, no problem. Let me break down how this accumulated because, you know, time has passed. It's only been maybe a month since my last Debt Me Out episode. And your girl clearly has got a little bit of a spending thing going on. So let's just talk about where the money has come from and where it's gone. So first, there was $9,625.10, which was a business expense that I paid for a product that I'm building. And if you guys are subscribers to my channel, then you probably know I started a new series called Undercover CEO. This is not the expense for that product. So I'm actually building 2 products right now, and I'll talk more about it in that series. So make sure you subscribe. I've got a lot of cool videos that I'm working on right now to take you guys through the process and share my journey of building a product-based business from scratch. Subscribe, get into it, clock in, tag your friends. You know, let's build that one. Let's have a community going. Let's get that started, okay? I want more views. Your girl's got a couple money trees planted is the long story short. The next chunk of money was $4,947.04. This was the Thailand trip that I booked. So if you guys have heard, your girl's going to Thailand for the first time. I booked it with an excursion group. It's gonna be with a group of like entrepreneurial women. It's gonna have some workshops. We're gonna be traveling. We're gonna be doing some like grounding and reconnecting. It's very much my vibe. Self-improvement, hot sun, beaches, photos, hot body, tan, and grounding and reflection and eating good food. That's, say less, I'm on my way. But again, that was almost $5,000. I paid with that on my Amex Gold, and I put it onto my line of credit that I have with RBC. Then we got another cost, which was, and this was something that I flagged. If you watched the other episode 2, or maybe even the first episode of this Debt Me Out series, you know that I mentioned already anticipating spending a bit more money on this Thailand trip because the $5,000 that I just spoke about was for the trip itself, meaning once I've arrived to Thailand. I need to pay for getting to Thailand as well. And if you know me, or if you've watched these videos that I've been posting, you know that I was looking to fly business class for the first time ever because literally why not? It's almost a full 24 hours of flying in between the layovers and the stopovers. Girls gotta go to Hong Kong and then come back down. All of the things. I was like, I am not about to be on a 14-hour flight and not be lying down horizontal and just eating whatever I want, drinking champagne. For me, the vacation starts the second I get on the plane. So naturally, I'm gonna be traveling business class. Let me know if you guys think it's crazy, but maybe after I tell you the price of that, you will think it's crazy. So for the Thailand flight, I had wanted to originally book with Qatar business class because they have the Q suite. I really wanted to do that. They were $6,000 at the time. Your girl's never booked long haul, so I thought that, hey, if I wait, the flights will go down. It went to $13,000. Forget about it. Bye, Qatar. Instead, I booked with KA8PNQ Pacific's business class, so they're pretty good. The only downside, which I really wanted, but again, I'm not gonna pay $13,000 for it, was like a full closing privacy suite that the Qatar Airways Q suite had. But nevertheless, it's all good. It's got really deep seats and people feel pretty private. Plus it's got herringbone seating, so everyone's kind of sitting away from each other. So I think I should have a good amount of privacy to vlog and record stuff on that flight and not feel like I'm being watched. That was mainly the reason why I wanted it to be closed, so I could feel like I'm in my own little room, studio to talk to you guys. That flight, round trip business class, KA8PNQ Pacific, came in at about, exact numbers are $7,209.90. Yes. Who really cares? I'm gonna have a great time. But yeah, that's where we kind of racked up all of these unexpected debt. Unexpected in the sense that, you know, your girl said she wasn't traveling. Damn near over $10,000 was spent on travel. So it's okay, but this is where we're at. We're at $21,782.04 in debt. Next, let's talk about debt consolidation. Now for a quick little education segment, what is debt consolidation? Okay, I've learned all of these terms quite literally over the past month because your girl incurred debt and had to figure out what to do. Debt consolidation means moving high interest debt like credit cards at 19 to 22% interest into a lower interest account, such as a line of credit. Why would you do this? Now, first of all, the lower interest rate. On $5,000 at 19.99% interest, you'd pay about $83 a month just in interest. But if you move that to a 7% line of credit, your interest drops to about $29 a month. That's over $50 a month saved without paying a dollar extra. Another reason is one monthly payment. So because you consolidate everything into one line of credit, you are only paying one payment per month or at whatever frequency you prefer to pay down the debt. This is easier for someone like me who's gonna get a little bit overwhelmed and flustered with paying a certain amount down on this credit card and that credit card and this one over here. With different interest rates, I'd rather consolidate everything into a lower interest rate and make 1 to 2 payments max that I can keep up with and track the progress of. With fewer due dates, it means less chance of missing one, which is good for your credit. And trust me, this is coming from a girl with 840 credit score. You wanna know how I got my credit good? Go ahead and watch this video right here. Lastly, you have more money going to principal. So the best part about debt consolidation is because you are paying a lower interest rate, more of your payments each month or at whatever frequency are going towards the principal as opposed to the interest. And all this means is that you're gonna pay down your debt faster and you're gonna give less money to the banks for simply having debt and more money to paying it down and having no debt. The less you pay in interest, the more money goes towards killing your debt. That's all. One thing to know is that consolidation really only works if you cut down the spending on the credit card. So because these were one-off spendings, I put them onto my line of credit because it's gonna take me a bit longer to pay them down. But now when it comes to my credit card spending, I shouldn't be spending big purchases again because that's not in my budget to pay down. Before I had all this debt, I paid off my credit card every single paycheck. So that's the habit I'm trying to get back into, and debt consolidation is allowing me to do that because I'm taking care of the larger debt on one spot or 2 spots. We'll get into that. And the rest of the debt that I incur on my credit card should be, in a perfect world, things that I can pay down for each paycheck. Now, another thing to note about debt consolidation is it of course only really works if you are approved for or already have a line of credit that has no balance. So for myself, throughout my years of good credit history and making more money and keeping my spending down and paying my credit card off every paycheck, I have built a great credit score, 840. Well, I think it's like 838 now. And from doing that, banks throughout these years reached out to me to offer me lines of credits that I did not need, but for the sake of credit utilization, I accepted. Clearly, I was looking out for my future self because in accepting those, now I'm at the point where I can actually use them to go on a trip and whatnot. But I was offered those things, so it didn't cost me anything. It did not require a credit check. They just said, hey, we have a $20,000 line of credit that we want to give you. And I was like, yeah, sure. The way credit utilization works, this is another little lesson for you, is that when banks look at you, they want to know how much of the available credit you actually use and need. So if you have a $100 credit card and every month you're carrying over $100 in debt, then they're looking at you and they're kind of like, oh, this girl like really needs the $100. But if you have a $100 credit card and you only use like $5 that's carried over, let's say, you're like, damn, this girl only used like 5% of her available credit. She obviously doesn't need it. We want to give her more because she's so good with her money. She doesn't really carry over and doesn't need to spend all the money. We want to give her more credit. That's why I pay off, because basically I want to keep my credit utilization as low as possible. So when I had a couple credit cards that totaled about $10,000 worth of credit, I looked good, but as soon as I added those $20,000 line of credit, another $9,000 line of credit, now it's like, oh, you're only using $1,000 of your $50,000 of available credit. It looks really good. Anyways, I hope that makes sense, but that's essentially the first strategy that I wanted to get into when it came to paying off this debt, was debt consolidation here. Now, because I already have lines of credit available, the next option I wanted to do, which is kind of a bonus option, but it's worth trying because it can prove successful, is to negotiate a rate drop with my bank. So I'm gonna open up my Coplenty Yearly Budget 2.0 tracker and walk through the interest rates and talk a little bit about that with you guys. So I'm opening up the debt snowball calculator on the Coplenty Yearly Budget 2.0 tracker. If you watch the older episodes, you'll notice this one's a little bit different. Since I'm gonna be up in this hoe, I decided to edit it and just give it a little bit of an upgrade. So I found a cute little fairy photo, put that in there. Look, she's like sitting on the debts overview. I put a little magic note for myself that the debt-free fairy is here. Her magic is simple: pay off your smallest debt, roll the payment into the next one. With each win, your payment power grows, blah, blah, blah. Just a little bit of like a fun enchantment over the vibes, and it's just giving very earthy, very cute. Like, now I'm excited to pay my debt. So as you guys can see here, the RBC line of credit balance is $21,182 and my interest rate is 9.19%. Now you can see here there's a minimum payment. So far I've been putting aside $500 per month to pay this down, which shows you that I'll pay about $4,200 in interest, and it would take me about 52 months to pay off the debt. Totally fine, not worried about it. The main reason I wanted to flag this here is because one thing that you guys can do, which I attempted to do, is to negotiate a lower interest rate. So as you guys can see, the interest rate that RBC gave me was 9.19%, but I specifically had offers from other places at around 7%. So sometimes when you are a valued customer, you can give these banks a call and say, hey, I'm with you guys. This bank is offering me this rate. I wanted to call and see if you could, match it. Price match, essentially, is what I'm doing. I'm trying to price match the interest rate so I can stay with you guys, because essentially banks do want us to keep our money with them, because it allows them to borrow our money to go do the stuff that they do to make the money go around and build the economy. So naturally, I gave them a call, and I'll share some snippets of that call with you guys here. But yeah, this is how it went.
This is Michael. How are you doing today, Kiana?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. How can I help you today?
I'm just calling because I've been an RBC client for a while, and I wanted to inquire about my personal line of credit. I've just been adjusting or reviewing my rates, and I noticed other major banks are offering lower rates on similar unsecured products. So I've been seeing like around 5.95% with CIBC, around 6.95% with Tangerine. So I wanted to see if RBC can match or improve my current rate so that I can continue keeping my banking here.
I understand your questions, Kiana. I am a credit advisor with RBC, so I just did check that system. There is no pre-approved decrease on the interest rate that I could offer at this time. Now, option number 2 is, if you would like, we could take a full financial review. This now involves a hard credit check to check if there's an opportunity for me to lower the interest rate. No guarantees, but I can check if there's an opportunity to lower the interest rate.
So as you guys heard in that recording, it didn't really go as I planned. I had ChatGPT draft up a script. You guys can probably hear me saying 100 million times. I am getting out of it, but I do have a lot of phone anxiety. So if you're someone who's like that as well, where it's like, bro, I do not want to hop on a phone call, do it. It's worth a shot. It did not work for me, but it at least let them know, like, I know what I want and I'm not willing to go to another bank to get it. And that's exactly what I've done. So I was like, cool, like I'm gonna have to move some of my money, and I'm not gonna prioritize RBC moving forward, because if I can bank with you guys for bloody 20 years and you can't offer me a lower rate without doing a hard credit check and calling all my employers and blah, 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 forget about you. There's so many better banks out there. So all that to say, give it a shot. That was the next thing that I tried, was to negotiate a lower offer, but I wasn't lying, because I did have other offers from other banks that had lower interest rates for a line of credit. So once RBC confirmed that they could not lower my interest rate, I said, cool. So I'm gonna accept the offer that had a lower rate from Scotiabank and start rejigging there. So that's what I wanna go over with you guys in this episode, is the updated strategy, because your girl doesn't have one, but she now has 2 lines of credit. I also want to flag that with the other bank, the only reason I found that I had another offer was because I logged into my online banking and scrolled. There's usually a section in your online bank that says offers. I don't know why Scotiabank has it in behind God's back. It was at the very bottom on a different tab, but it said, yeah, you have one available offer. And it's exactly what I was looking for, a line of credit. It wasn't the same amount that RBC has, but it was at a much lower rate. And that's what I want, because I want to pay things down faster and put less money to interest and more money into killing my debt. Scotiabank's offer was for a $10,000 secured line of credit at 7.45%, and it was pre-approved, meaning all I had to do was say yes to it, fill out a couple questions, and they would ship me my line of credit card. It was literally that simple, and in doing so, I'm now going to be saving myself potentially hundreds in interest. So let's look into that and talk a little bit more about that. So next, let's talk about the new debt payoff plan. If you watched my episode number 1, I was looking into the Snowball method. The Snowball method is where you pay off the smallest balance first, regardless of interest rate. The pro is that it's quick wins and motivation, but the con is that you might pay more in interest down the line. Snowball generally works if you're someone who maybe doesn't have a line of credit, but you have a couple credit cards that you need to pay off. In this case, it makes more sense to help keep you motivated to pay off the quickest thing first. Once that's done, you carry over those payments into the next one, and it creates a snowball effect because while you're paying off your target payment, you're paying the minimum payments on the other credit cards. Now, because I did not have multiple credit cards with the debt, obviously didn't work. I was looking into it. It's not needed, so you can't snowball something if there's only one ball of snow. You gotta roll it. There was nothing to roll it into. I only had one kind of debt to pay off. So snowball method quickly went out of the window. The snowball method was replaced with debt consolidation. Now, as you guys know, the debt consolidation was putting all of those credit card expenses that I went over into one consolidated line of credit, which was the RBC line of credit at 9.19% interest. That would have been the next plan had I kept it on the RBC line of credit, because again, it's all consolidated into one place and I would have just created a monthly payment and set it up there. But I didn't want to stop there because your girl is looking for lower interest. So in accepting the Scotiabank offer of a $10,000 line of credit at 7.45% interest, we now have two lines of credit. That's four. We now have two lines of credit. One of the lines of credit is at 7.45% interest and the other one is at 9.19% interest. Because we now have two lines of credit, the strategy changes. It's no longer debt consolidation pay off one thing, but it takes us to a new method that we haven't talked about, which is the Avalanche method. All right, the Avalanche method is where you pay off the debt with the highest interest rate first. The pro is that it saves you the most money in interest, but the con is that it takes longer to feel those paid off wins. Now, I'm gonna quickly show you guys the Coplenty Yearly Budget 2.0 tracker, because now that I've got the numbers consolidated, I wanna actually see what the difference is if I choose to do a snowball method to pay off these two lines of credit versus an avalanche method to pay off these two lines of credit. So let's look into that. Okay, great. So jumping into it, because I had a $10,000 line of credit available from Scotiabank, I broke out the amount. What I would want to do is have the most money that I can have on the lower interest rate, because naturally I would be paying lower interest on that debt. So I would max out the Scotia line of credit at $10,000. That would mean the remaining amount of my $21,000 debt would go onto the line of credit. If I was doing the snowball method, where you pay off your smallest debt first and then roll that payment into the next one, my payments would look like this. Scotiabank line of credit would technically be the smallest debt by $1,000. The interest rate is 7.45%. My minimum payment, I would make it $500, followed by $100 minimum payments on the RBC line of credit. It would take me 22 months to be debt free off that line of credit, and then another 42 months total to be debt free completely. The interest owed, as you guys can see here, would be a total of $3,481.95 for an average interest rate of 8.45% with minimum payments of $600. In total, it would take me 42 months to pay off both these lines of credits, considering I stayed at the exact same minimum payments and I obviously did not add any additional debt. That is the snowball method. If we bring it over into the avalanche method, this method is also simple. Unlike the snowball method where you're paying your lowest debt first, regardless of interest rate, the avalanche method is where you pay your highest interest first, regardless of balance. So in this case, it would be switched. The RBC line of credit, which has the higher balance, but also the higher interest rate, would be getting paid down first. I would be doing the $500, followed by the Scotiabank line of credit, which I would do smaller payments on at $100. This would take me a total of 41 months to pay off, and I'd be paying a total interest amount of $3,101.91. So if we just do a little side-by-side comparison, we can see, and we're looking here, let me highlight them for you guys. We can see that the Avalanche has me paying a total of $3,100 in interest, and it takes me 41 months to pay off both of these lines of credit, whereas the snowball method would have me paying $3,400, almost $3,500 in interest, and would take me an extra month to pay off both lines of credit. Just to look at the difference, we're talking about a difference of $380.04 in interest being paid, but also a difference of the time to pay off the debt, which means I save a month if I choose the avalanche method. So doing this was a really great exercise for me to see which option works best for my situation and what my goals are. My goals are to pay the least amount of interest. I want the most interest to go to killing the debt as opposed to paying the banks for saying, sorry, I have this debt. With the both options being so close in my case, the avalanche and the snowball options literally being a difference of a few $100s and 1 month of time savings in terms of paying it off, I naturally am gonna choose to go with the one that I'm gonna be paying the least amount of interest. This means your girl's new debt payoff strategy is gonna be the Avalanche method. Woo! You guys can see here, I'm gonna start by paying off the RBC line of credit with the higher payments. I'm gonna be putting $500 a month towards that, and I'm gonna be putting $100 a month towards the Scotia line of credit. If I scroll down on the payoff, you guys can see here how it works out. It essentially lays out all of the months it's gonna take you to pay off and shows you where your money's gonna go. So you can see here that while I have my RBC line of credit as priority, the payments are gonna be $500 and $100 on the Scotia line of credit. But as we get down to the 24th, 25th month, I will have paid my last bit of payment for the RBC line of credit. So I would only have $347 left to pay, which means I can carry over that excess amount into the next debt, which is the Scotiabank line of credit. From that point, the $100 contributions turns into the full $600 that I've allotted as a budgeted amount for me to pay down my line of credit debts. And that will carry me all the way into the 42nd month, which would be May 1st, 2028 for me to pay this off. Now, one thing I want to flag is that those numbers, absolutely nothing changes. So if I only ever put the amount down that I put, which is a total of $600 per month, that's how long it's going to take me to pay off. But of course, the goal is when you're paying off debt, if you come into additional money that doesn't need to be used anywhere else, aka you pay yourself first, you invest first, you take care, you feed your kids, you feed your own self, you take care of your cat like I do, or do what you want. I'm not a financial advisor. If your priority is paying down your debt and you put more down, it's only going to make you pay off your debt faster. I'm very comfortable with this timeline and plan because right now it's not a super huge priority for me to pay down this debt. One thing I've learned is I have friends that also have really great credit scores, 840, 830, and they carry over credit card balances every month. I couldn't believe it. Like, I thought you have to pay everything down every single paycheck to have a good credit score, but I've paid down every single paycheck and I have friends who always carry over a balance of like $3,000, $4,000 and their credit score is just the same. Sometimes it just genuinely comes down to banks seeing that you can be consistent. And so even though this is going to take a bit longer to pay down the line of credit, should I keep everything the same? It's going to show the banks that I'm consistent with paying it down, which is still going to make me look good at the end of the day. That's my take on it. And that's the latest update for you guys here, is that I'm going to be doing the Avalanche debt payoff method. But I want to flip to you guys to see, one, did those things make sense? Have you learned any new methods? I'm super new to the debt world, so I just learned about Snowball method a couple videos ago. I just learned about Avalanche method today, and I learned about debt consolidation maybe an episode ago as well. If you guys have debt, let me know what methods or strategies you're using to pay it down and what your priority is. For me, it's paying less interest, but for you, it could be paying down as fast as possible. Comment below, let me know what works for you. I'm always looking to change it. Honestly, every single episode of this Debt Me Out series has been a different strategy, so if you guys have got a better idea, let me know. I'd love to try it. One thing I did want to talk about as well, racking up about $20,000 worth of debt in the span of 2 months. I'm sorry, it makes me laugh. It's been such a whirlwind time. Like, I have been someone who has not had debt for close to a decade in terms of like new, fresh credit card style debt. I have my student loans and my mortgage, obviously, but I've not been someone who's carried debt outside of those things like ever. So jumping into this new world of having debt like basically the rest of America, North America, I've had to really sit down and assess my mindset when it comes to money. I hope that in watching my Payday Budget with Me playlists and my Hot Girl Finance series, you guys have been able to see that I'm someone who is very comfortable talking about money and has done a lot of work in switching my mindset about money. I didn't always used to be this calm knowing that I had $20,000 worth of debt to pay or knowing that I had $18,000 worth of taxes to pay back. I was never always this calm. I used to be really anxious about money. I used to have a lot of the scarcity mindset and be really worried about losing money because I grew up with parents that on one spectrum spent like it was their last day on earth every day, and on the other side penny pinched to the point where it was like even necessities felt like excessive to buy. I've grown up with the view and with the example of managing money being two different extremes that both are rooted in scarcity mindset and have had to do a lot of work to unlearn those habits and get to the place where I'm at today, where I'm very comfortable with debt. I'm very comfortable making big purchases like spending $10,000 on business class flights. And the reason I'm so confident is because I spent a lot of time doing the work rewiring my brain and my mindset and my frequency with regards to money. Before you can really tap into financial abundance, you have to shift what you believe is possible. If your inner voice is still saying things like, I'll never get ahead, budgeting is too hard, I'm never gonna get out of debt, then making the plans and getting the budgeting trackers and doing all those extra external things are not gonna help you, or they're at least not gonna help you very much, and it's gonna take a very, very long time to get to the point where they are helping you. That's why I created the 7-day money mindset makeover workbook. It's the true first step to changing your entire financial life. In 7 days, you're gonna uncover the beliefs that have been keeping you stuck, rewire them into empowering ones, and start building habits that actually align with the abundant lifestyle you're working toward. This piece is the piece that most people miss, and it's why their budgets never stick. It's why they tend to hit a ceiling in their mindset when it comes to making money. But having been someone who used to make 20K and 40K and jumping to, you know, the not multi 6 figures, but jumping into a very comfortable 6 figures as a single income, no kids, owning a home, doing a lot of things that I didn't think was possible. I know how important it is to fix the mindset and to rewire your mindset. And that's why I was really excited to make this workbook, because it's something that I use myself and continue to use. And yeah, I wanted to make it available for you guys. So if you guys are interested and you're ready to get your mindset reshifted so that you can actually welcome and be ready to accept the abundance into your life, head to my Stanstore where you will find it there. And there's also some freebies for you guys as well, some soft life money habits that you can get into to start shifting and rewiring your brain and your mindset and your frequency, okay? This workbook is your blueprint out of survival mode and into alignment. So I'm super excited for you guys to try it, and I hope you guys let me know how it is, and any feedback, I would love to hear it. So let me know if you purchase it, comment below if you do, and let me know if it's helped you and if you've really started to make the changes that need to happen so that you can accept abundance into your life and start booking business class tickets like me and not even breaking a sweat. Do you see sweat? Okay, there's a little sweat. There's a little sweat, but I'm not breaking a sweat mentally. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much for tuning into Debt Me Out episode 3. Jingle is coming. And as you guys know, of course, everything I use this tracker has been the Coplenty tracker. It's linked in my Stanstore, so go ahead and grab that if you want it. And let me know if you are Team Snowball, Team Avalanche, Team Debt Consolidation, Team something I've never heard of before in the comments below. I'm curious as to what you guys would pick if this was your debt. And if you're on your own debt payoff journey, hit subscribe, like, comment, so we can keep each other accountable and stay in touch. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Love you. Bye.